Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Mike?
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Very nice Kirtan. Haribol.
Haribo,
Hare
Harinam
Hare
Sankirtan Ke.
Jai.
Bye.
Jai.
Okay, Vaishnavi.
Yes, Guru Maharaj, I'm sharing the screen now and we are in 3.11.
Oh,
Are you able to see screen, Guru Maharaj?
yes, I can see. Yeah.
Okay, today I think we have a little less number of participants. So, Tanmay Prabhu, do you want to start reading 3.11?
Sure, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Devan bhavayatena te deva bhavayantu va parasparam bhavayanta Shreya param avapsyatha. Translation.
Sorry, Prabhu.
Oh, it's okay. The demigods, being pleased by sacrifices, will also please you. And thus, by cooperation between men and demigods, prosperity will reign for all. Purport. The demigods are empowered administrators of material affairs. The supply of air, light, water, and other benedictions for maintaining the body and soul of every living entity is entrusted to the demigods, who are innumerable assistants in different parts of the body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Their pleasures and displeasures are dependent on the performance of yajnas by the human being. Some of the yajnas are meant to satisfy particular demigods, but even in doing so, Lord Vishnu is worshipped in all yajnas as the chief beneficiary. It is stated also in the Bhagavad Gita that Krishna himself is the beneficiary of all kinds of yajnas. Bhoktram yajna tapasam. Therefore, ultimate satisfaction of the yajnapati is the chief purpose of all yajnas. When these yajnas are perfectly performed, naturally the demigods in charge of the different departments of supply are pleased, and there is no scarcity in the supply of natural products. Performance of yajnas has many side benefits, ultimately leading to liberation from material bondage. By performance of yajnas, all activities become purified, as it is stated in the Vedas, Ahara Shuddhau Sattva Suddhi, Sattva Shuddhau, Dhruva Smriti, Smriti Lambhe, Sarva Granthinam, Vipra Moksha. By performance of yajnas, one's eatables become sanctified, and by eating sanctified foodstuffs, one's very existence becomes purified. By the purification of existence, finer tissues in the memory become sanctified. And when memory is sanctified, one can think of the path of liberation. And all this combined together lead to Krishna consciousness, the great necessity of present day society. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
All right. So the importance of doing yagya. Everyone should do yagya. Right? And of course, the beneficiary, the enjoyer of all the yagyas is meant to be Krishna himself. So there are so many demigods. How many demigods? You remember? Is it 33 crore? 33 crore demigods. It's a lot of people, you know, so you can't do yagya for 33 crores. But when we do yagya on behalf of the Supreme Lord, Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna, then that satisfies all the yagyas. That satisfies all the devas. So the ultimate yagya is to satisfy the Supreme Lord. Right? We give the example that it's mentioned here, said the demigods, they're different parts of the body of the Lord. So you have to satisfy the stomach. You have to put food in the stomach. You cannot feed the hand, you cannot feed the leg, you have to feed the stomach. And when you feed the stomach, then it distributes energy to all the parts of the body. So this is the principle of yagya. And the Kali Yuga yagya, Hari Nam Sankirtan, yagya by Vishnu. Kali Yuga done, Hari Nam Sankirtan. The proper yagya for this age is to do Sankirtan, the chanting of the holy names. And in this way, all the demigods become satisfied. And when the demigods are satisfied, then they bestow everything we need, all the things we need, which are just like, Indra is the god of rain. So remember at the time of Govardhan Puja, Indra had become proud. Lord Krishna wanted to stop the inhabitants of Vrindavan from doing Indra Yagya. He wanted them just to worship Govardhan Hill. And then he showed them that Govardhan Hill is actually Krishna himself. So when you do yagya for Krishna, then everybody is satisfied. But Indra, of course, he was upset. He didn't like it. But then after Krishna picked up the Govardhan Hill, took away the pride of Indra, then Indra became humble. And he understood his actual position as a servant of the Supreme Lord. So this is the idea. Performance of yagya, Prabhupada mentions, is not only to get material things what we need to maintain our life in this world, but the ultimate purpose of yagya is to get liberation, to get out from this world. So that's the higher purpose of the yagya. Materially, we do it just to get material benefits, but there's a spiritual purpose also. And then at the end, Prabhupada talks about doing yagya, offering foodstuff. By performance of yagya, one's eatables become sanctified. Just like when we make our offering, when we cook food and offer it to Krishna, that is a yagya. That is actually the yagya, sacrifice. And by doing that yagya, we take away the karma and we're able to eat sanctified foodstuffs, prasadam. And this way we become purified. And when we become purified, then it's easier for us to think of Krishna and to become Krishna conscious. So this is what's being described here.
So Guru Maharaj, does the demigods get their strength by the yajnas performed by us, or is it like that also, Guru Maharaj?
Do they get what?
Do they get their strength by the yajnas that we perform? What do they get by? What do they get if we don't do the yajnas? Then they will get weaker or something like that. The demigods.
Do they? Oh, you mean the offerings to the demigods? Do they not get?
Yeah.
Well, the idea is that when we offer to the Supreme Lord, because we're offering to the Supreme Lord, so all the demigods are also satisfied. Just like when you feed the stomach, all the parts of the body, they get strength, they get nourishment. We put the food in the stomach, but the energy is distributed to everyone. Or when we water the root of the plant, then the water goes to all the leaves and branches from the root. So Krishna or Vishnu, he is like the root. He is the mula prakriti. He's the mula of the prakriti. He's the root of all this material, everything. So all the demigods, they all become satisfied when we satisfy the Supreme Lord. But if you try to worship the demigods individually, like I said, 33 crore, then you have to offer to each demigod individually. You'll be very busy. It'll take a long time. So we just simply try to satisfy the Supreme Lord. And then all 33 crore demigods are satisfied. You understand?
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Yeah.
So is it similar like Krishna is the head of the body? And so if we can cut off our finger or hand or leg if we don't need it or in trouble, but we cannot cut off our head.
Well, we say, usually we give the example of the head and the body. We say the brahmanas are like the head in the social body. The brahmana, because the brain is there, and the brahmanas are supposed to be, you know, they think more and they can guide people materially and spiritually. So the brahmana is like a head. But we say that Krishna or Vishnu is like the stomach. Like the stomach. When you feed the stomach, you put the food in the stomach, then the energy is distributed to all the parts of the body. You cannot give energy or strength to the different parts of the body individually. You have to put the food in the stomach, and then the energy from the stomach, the energy is distributed through the blood, the flow of the blood, right? There's a story about this, that the parts of the body all had a meeting, and they said, we're tired of putting food in the stomach. The stomach gets all of the food every time. Let's stop feeding the stomach. And so they said, yes, all right, we're not going to feed the stomach anymore. And so after some time, then everybody became very weak and tired and hungry and no strength, no energy, because they didn't want to put food in the stomach. But when they feed the stomach, then the stomach distributes the energy. It doesn't take all the food and energy just for itself. It distributes that energy to all the parts of the body. You cannot water a leaf or a branch of the tree. You have to water the root. If you pour the water on the leaf or a branch of the tree, the leaves will fall off. If you try to water a branch, also it won't do any good for the tree. You have to put the water on the root. Water the root, and then the water flows through all the branches and leaves. The whole tree becomes nourished. So the demigods, the relationship between the demigods and Lord Krishna are like that. Lord Krishna is like the root of the tree, or he's like the stomach of the universal body. Those are the two examples which are given in the scriptures.
Okay, thank you, Guru Maharaj.
But if we talk about Krishna being the head, no, we usually talk about that's the position of the Brahmanas. The Vaishyas are like the belly, the Sudra are like the legs, the Kshatriya are the arms. We use the arms to protect. We use the brain, we use the head to guide. So the Brahmanas, they give direction to people, meant to guide people. The Kshatriya, they're meant to protect, take care. We use our arms like that. The belly, the Vaishya produces food. And the laborer, the Sudras, they work. They use their legs. So this is the social body. All parts of the body and the parts of the body cooperate together to help each other. All parts of the body are important. The arms and legs are also important. If you don't have arms, you don't have legs, it's very difficult. Of course, if you don't have a head, then you're dead.
Talking about these brahmanas and comparing them with the head, there was a study done in Japan with a group of scientists with a massive amount of people in 2016, and it mentioned that every 1% increase in the population, every 1% of people who meditate, the number increase in that reduced the people in emergency rooms and crime rates and many negative aspects in the society. It was just connected. It's not like people were going and preaching, but just more people doing meditation automatically had an effect in the society.
Oh, definitely, yes. We try to encourage people to cultivate the mode of goodness, to get free of passion and ignorance. You know, Rajagun and Tamagun, the mode of passion and the mode of ignorance are symbols of ignorance and lust and greed. And we have to get rid of these things. And we have to come up to the mode of goodness. So we try to direct people on how to cultivate the mode of goodness. Things like being vegetarian, not taking, you know, the intoxication and so on, becoming intoxicated at this time, like, you know, holiday season, people become very intoxicated, taking alcohol and these kind of things. So this is all the mode of passion and ignorance. We want to cultivate the mode of goodness. Mode of goodness means pure, natural living, minimizing the demands of the body, simple living, high thinking. Yes? Okay.
So 3.12, Fernando Prabhu, do you want to read this?
Yeah, sure, Mataji.
Thank
So, Istan Bogan Ivo Deva Dasyante Yagya Bhavita Tair Datan Apradayabhyo Yo Bunkte Stena Evasaha. Translation. In charge of the various necessities of life, the demigods being satisfied by the performance of yagya, sacrifice will supply all necessities to you. But he who enjoys such gifts without offering them to the demigods in return is certainly a thief. The demigods are authorized supplying agents on behalf of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu. Therefore, they must be satisfied by the performance of prescribed yagyas. In the Vedas, there are different kinds of yagyas prescribed for different kinds of demigods, but all are ultimately offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For one who cannot understand what the personality of Godhead is, sacrifice to the demigods is recommended. According to the different material qualities of the persons concerned, different types of yagyas are recommended in the Vedas. Worship of different demigods is also the same basis, namely according to the different qualities. For example, the meat eaters are recommended to worship the goddess Kali, the nasty form of material nature. And before the goddess, the sacrifice of animals is recommended. But for those who are in the mood of goodness, the transcendental worship of Vishnu is recommended. But ultimately, all yagyas are meant for gradual promotion to the transcendental position. For ordinary men, at least 5 yagyas, known as Pancha Maha Yagya, are necessary. One should know, however, that all the necessities of life that the human society requires are supplied by the demigod agents of the Lord. No one can manufacture anything. Take, for example, all the eatables of human society. These eatables include grains, fruits, vegetables, milk, sugar, etc. For the persons in the mode of goodness and the goodness, and also eatables for the non-vegetarians, like meat, none of which can be manufactured by man. Then again, take the human society. Without the Supreme Lord, there can be no profuse sunlight, moonlight, rainfall, breeze, etc., without which no one can live. Obviously, Our life is dependent on supplies from the Lord, even for our manufacturing enterprises. We require so many raw materials like metal, sulfur, mercury, manganese, and so many essentials, all of which are supplied by the agents of the Lord, with the purpose that we should make proper use of them to keep ourselves fit and healthy for the purpose of self-realization, leading to the ultimate goal of life, namely liberation from the material struggle for existence. This aim of life is attained by performance of yagas. If we forget the purpose of human life and simply take supplies from the agents of the Lord for sense gratification and become more and more entangled in material existence, which is not the purpose of creation, certainly we become thieves, and therefore we are punished by the laws of material nature. A society of thieves can never be happy because they have no aim in life. The gross materialist thieves have no ultimate goal of life. They are simply direct to sense gratification, nor do they have knowledge of how to perform yagas. Lord Chaitanya, however, inaugurated the easiest performance of yaga, namely the Sankirtana yaga, which can be performed by anyone in the world who accepts the principles of Krishna consciousness. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
So Prabhupada talks about how the different yagyas for different kinds of people. And we see in the Vedas also, there's yagya for meat eaters, people who want to eat the animal. Then there's a yagya. They have to do it according to the Vedas. It's supposed to be, you take a goat before the goddess Kali on the dark moon night. Dark moon night means once in a month. So only one night in a month you can sacrifice a goat. So if you find Kali temples, you would see often like that on the dark moon night, one day in the month, one night. That night they bring the goat and they sacrifice the goat in front of the goddess Kali. So this is a Vedic yagya. The idea is when they kill the goat, they tell the goat that I'm killing you, in the next life you can kill me. And so the Vedas work like that. The Vedas is meant for gradual purification. That one is killing the goat, he's telling the goat that I'm going to kill you because I want to eat your meat, but in the future you can kill me and eat me. So the intelligent person will gradually think more and more about this, that why should I do this? Why should I allow myself to be killed in the future? And gradually the idea is that people will reform, that if they follow the Vedic path, gradually they'll start to give up these kind of material desires, that they have to eat meat, they want to taste blood, and so they're willing to be killed, that they're going to kill an animal, but in the future they're going to be killed. So gradually people will start to give up that killing. That's what's meant to happen. The Vedas are meant to lead us out of sense gratification, but it's a very long process. And often people are not so thoughtful and they just continue, they take the goats, they simply kill the goats and eat the meat, and they don't think anything about it. They don't think about what they're doing. They don't think about the mantras and the meanings of the mantras which were chanted when the goat was killed. So this was why Lord Buddha came and he led people away from the Vedas, because the Vedas was encouraging all this. The Brahmanas were utilizing all this also. The Brahmanas were encouraging people to do animal sacrifices. And so Lord Buddha came and he led the people away from the Vedas because they were not understanding the real purpose behind the Vedas. Right? In Bhagavad Gita, in the 15th chapter, Lord Krishna says, Vedaischa sarveraham eva vidya, vinanta krit vedavid eva chaham. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the author and I am the compiler of the Vedas. So the purpose of the Vedas ultimately is to know Krishna. But often this is forgotten about, and people just think about their own material purposes, their material desires. So Lord Chaitanya came and he taught everyone Sankirtan Yagya. Let everybody just chant the holy name. And if they are chanting the holy name, then the effect is very quick and rapid. Chant the holy name, and one will lose all his material desires. He'll forget about all of his attachments and desires for sense gratification. And one will purify the heart, and he will awaken his consciousness of Krishna. But we have to understand there is a need for yagya. You have to do some yagya. That's an important point. Just like you live in a house, maybe you're renting the house, you have to pay rent. You have a landlord. You have to pay. You have to pay for the rent. You have to pay for the electricity. You have to pay for the water. Nothing is free, right? You don't get anything free in this world. You have to pay for the water, you have to pay for the heating, you have to pay for the cleaning of the building, and you have to pay the landlord. And so in the same way, we're living in this world and we're enjoying the facilities of the world. Krishna is providing for us heat and light. He's providing so many natural resources, the food we eat, the water we drink, everything is provided, the gifts of God. We have to also pay. We have to pay for them. There's a yagya. We should do yagya for his pleasure as payment for all the facilities which he provides for us. Right? It's a nice example to understand why we should chant the holy name. That we're taking so many benefits from God. We have to give back. We have to pay for them in return. And that payment comes by doing yagya. And the yagya for this age, the chanting of the holy name. Very simple point. Is it clear, everyone?
Yes, Guru
Yes.
Maharaj, it's clear. But how is
Yes.
it like in Western countries, they don't do any yagya, but they are still getting good rain, water, and very nice vegetables and everything. How can I understand this, Guru Maharaj? Even in India, nowadays, they are not doing really lot of yagya, but at least in some temples, there is some chanting, everything going on.
Well, look at the world today. You've got this COVID everywhere because people are not doing yagya. This is the result. You've got this pandemic all over the world. People are suffering. So many miseries. So many disasters. You know, you say people are enjoying. How much are they enjoying? They're not enjoying so much. They're struggling. They think they're enjoying. They don't know what is real enjoyment. They don't know what is real pleasure. Yeah, there's still rain. They get rain, but usually they get the rain at the wrong time, and they get too much rain. When they want the rain, there's no rain. So the seasons, everything becomes disturbed because there's no yagya, because they're not doing the yagya properly. So they get disturbed by all of this. They cannot expect to get any real happiness or comfort in this world. There's no security anywhere here in this material world. We try to hide, we try to make ourselves comfortable. We put up these buildings and we make our homes. We build an apartment, buy an apartment somewhere. We think we can live there. But how long can we live there? Our life is very temporary. Everything we have in this world is very temporary. Any moment, everything can fall apart and all fall down.
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
And because they eat so much meat, and they take these things, this is all like activities in the mode of ignorance. So when people act in the mode of ignorance, then they suffer. The result of the mode of passion is suffering and distress and pain and misery. If you act in the mode of passion and ignorance, you cannot expect to be happy. You just simply suffer, bring more and more miseries on yourself. That's the result. But when you act in the mode of goodness, then you can experience real peace and real happiness. We try to educate people what is the real standard of living, how to act, how to follow God's laws. We're living in this world. This world belongs to God, and there are certain rules and regulations. Just like wherever you go, in Switzerland, they have laws. They have the Swiss laws, or in Geneva, they have a particular set of laws set by the council, the government there. You have to follow. And so the same way we're in this world is also the kingdom of, it's under the rule of the Supreme Lord through his different demigods. And we have to recognize them. We have to follow their instructions. Part of their instruction is to do yagya.
Guru Maharaj, if I really understand, actually doing yagyas regularly, it's good for our karma as well, right?
Oh, yes. Very good.
Okay.
But
Should I?
remember,
Should
what yagya are you going to do?
I mean Sankirtana Yagya, chanting the holy names regularly.
Sankirtan Yagya, it said Sankirtan Yagya will destroy all of our sins, all of our past sins. Very powerful.
Okay. Should I feel guilty if I cannot do as often as possible in my daily life?
Well, you should have some regular amount of chanting that you do. You should have some standard. You should have some level of regulation in the chanting. Yeah, we do. Just like, when people get initiation, they have to chant 16 rounds a day. So you're doing chanting. In the beginning, you may be irregular, but gradually it should become regular. You should want to do it every day, regularly. You must have some time where you allot to doing the thing, to do the yagya. And then you get more benefit. You'll get the real benefit from the chanting. If you make it a regular program.
Okay. By Krishna's mercy, I try to do my best.
Yeah, please. It really works. It really helps.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, in the Bhagavad Gita 2.31, it mentions animal sacrifice, but in this age, this is prohibited. Is our ISKCON Vaishnavas qualified to do this, or nobody is supposed to do this, Maharaj?
Vaishnavas won't do animal sacrifices. Not in the Kali Yuga. In the Kali Yuga, we won't do these animal sacrifices. Some karmakandi brahmanas may do them. Materialistic brahmanas, they may perform these kind of ritual ceremonies, but a Vaishnava will not perform yagya. Why not? Because we cannot chant the mantras properly. In the Kali Yuga, you see, in the previous yugas, when they did the Vedic sacrifices, they could revive the animal would get a new body because they could chant the mantras so perfectly. But in the Kali Yuga, we're not able to chant the mantras properly. So these kind of mantras, these kind of sacrifices are prohibited. There are different acts which are prohibited in the Kali Yuga. The horse sacrifice, the cow sacrifice, the offering of flesh, and the begetting of a child in the womb of one's wife, or the womb of a brother's wife, and also taking sannyas. These things are supposed to be prohibited in the Kali Yuga. So the killing of a goat, that would not be done by a Vaishnava. As I said, it would be done in front of the goddess Kali. So a devotee is not going to go to a Kali temple to see a sacrifice of a goat. The devotees won't take pleasure in that. That's not a pleasant thing to see the goat killed in front of the goddess Kali. This is the mode of ignorance. You see, this is the mode of tamagun. People worshipping in the mode of ignorance who strongly desire to eat meat. They will do this kind of worship. Now, a devotee, he's in the mode of goodness. The Vaishnavas, they want to associate with pure goodness. They don't want to be in contact with the mode of passion and the mode of ignorance. We don't go to nightclubs, we don't go gambling, and we don't go to these passionate places. And similarly, we don't go to demigod temples where they're sacrificing animals. Because this is all the mode of, that's the mode of ignorance. Even though it may be approved by the Vedas, but still, we don't do it. We don't go. It's not for devotees. It's for people in the mode of ignorance. So the Vaishnavas, they are meant to be pure goodness, Shuddha Sattva, and they associate with the mode of goodness. They don't associate with the mode of passion and ignorance.
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so will we do japa now?
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Just a small doubt, Guru Maharaj. If you said offering of flesh is prohibited in Kali Yuga, so in Kali Yuga there is no concession of for the people who are in the mode of ignorance. They cannot eat meat.
No, offering of flesh to the forefathers.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay, Guru Maharaj. Got it. Yes, Guru Maharaj. We can go for japa now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.